So, the divorce papers are ready already? Do you want to frighten me? I'm always up for this, as you know. You ought to settle down and consider what you just stated. Jackson, my spouse, got up and went to his room after that. I'm an office worker named Kamama, and I'm 28 years old. A year ago, Jackson and I tied the knot. He proposed to me after we dated for a year and a half after we first met on a blind date. I accepted his proposal even though I felt that we were married a little too soon because I had always intended to get married and start a family before I turned 30. But then I understood I ought to have exercised more caution. The initial shock occurred when Jackson quit his job just after our marriage. He'd abruptly announced that he was switching careers. Why all of a sudden? I questioned him. He responded, because I can't show my full potential there. When he informed me that he had already submitted his resignation and would be leaving at the end of the month, I was shocked. Although he was able to find employment, the new position paid less than the old one. Since I was also employed, I felt things would be all right until Jackson began requesting that I resign from my position. If his pay could have supported both of us, I would have been willing to give up. But as I previously indicated, he had recently changed employment, and his new wage was smaller. Jackson kept saying that his pay would go up soon, but we were not sure when. We wouldn't be able to save any money, and would find it difficult to pay for bills like rent and vehicle payments if I stopped my job right away. Put simply, we were unable to survive on Jackson's pay alone. I won't quit my job until your salary goes up, I said to Jackson. Jackson seemed to think so, yet he insisted on asking me to give up. I answered the same way each time. It has been a year since our marriage, and Jackson's pay hasn't gone up. When are you going to quit? He persistently queries. I can't quit yet, so I'm inclined to say, now sarcastically, and then tell him I'm kidding. He ought to make more money if he really wants me to resign. He keeps urging me to leave, but I think he should be concentrating on his work. I finally realized why Jackson is so desperate for me to leave my work. Jackson appears to want me to look after Helen, his mother. Jackson's comment to Helen whenever we went to my in-laws' place was, I just want to make things easier for you, Mom. After Helen thanked him politely, Jackson would say, but we're both working, and he would give me a serious look. He seemed to be gently pressuring me to resign from my position. Helen is neither ill or in need of care, despite Jackson's claims that his mother needs help. She is in good health and stays busy. In fact, she earns enough from her part-time job to support her hobbies, social outings, and live a fulfilling life. Realistically, she doesn't require my help at all. If I were in Helen's shoes, I'd feel disheartened to be seen as needing care when I'm perfectly capable, but Jackson continues to insist that I take care of Helen. Oh, if only one of us were home during the day. We could go check on Mom every day. Jackson suddenly voiced his thoughts. It seemed he wanted me to visit my in-laws' house daily, and hearing this was exhausting. I persisted in questioning my husband. Helen is perfectly healthy, so what exactly do you expect me to do? Jackson responded matter-of-factly, there are plenty of things you could do. You could help with housework or run errands. There's a lot to assist her with. But Helen works part-time and spends time with her friends during the day, so she's not home much, right? I countered. Even if Mom isn't home, you could still handle the housework, couldn't you? Jackson's words left me baffled. What is he saying? Am I supposed to be her maid? I thought to myself. Jackson seems to be very concerned about appearances, especially in front of his parents. If he's so determined to care for them, he should handle the household chores himself. I wasn't interested in indulging Jackson's pride, so I didn't quit my job and avoided visiting my in-laws on my days off. However, I did make sure to visit them during holidays like New Year's. Thinking back, Jackson often assigned me tasks whenever we visited my in-laws together. He'd ask me to clean up, assist his mom, check if anything was needed from the store, and so on, but I never acted on these requests. When he asked me to go to the store, I'd respond with, "Don't you know more about this area than I do?" He'd then say, "It wouldn't make sense if I did it." I didn't really understand his reasoning. It seemed like he just wanted to control me and feel good about taking care of his parents, didn't it? Over time, that's how I started to view Jackson. Could it be that he's more concerned with appearances than genuinely caring for me? When I boldly asked him, "Why don't you pitch in or quit your job to care for your own mother?" he appeared extremely uncomfortable and had a disgusted expression on his face. "That's not something I'm supposed to do. I'm giving you these instructions so that my mom will think that you are a considerate, useful wife. I hope you realize how kind I am to you," he said. In other words, he wants to dump all the difficult tasks on his wife and show off how good he is, as if it's something remarkable. Well, I'm not his servant or slave, and I don't deserve to be treated disrespectfully in front of my in-laws. If Jackson continues making unreasonable demands, I won't stay silent. I'll stand up for myself. But despite talking to him, Jackson hasn't changed. He still asks, "Are you going to quit your job?" And whenever we visit my in-laws, he orders me around just like before. I had enough and decided it was time to discuss it with him seriously. "I think we need to talk about our future," I said. "What are you even trying to say?" Jackson replied, sounding annoyed. "I'm honestly fed up. I'm tired of you constantly asking me when I'll quit my job and exhausted from you pressuring me to take care of Helen," I explained. "Why are you fed up with that? You're my wife, and it's your duty to care for your husband's parents," Jackson said. "Don't you think that's a huge responsibility for me? Shouldn't you, as their biological child, be responsible for helping with the housework and taking care of your own parents in the first place?" I asked. "No way. It's the wife's duty to do it. Are you the kind of person who doesn't care about family?" "I'm really disappointed to hear you say that," Jackson responded. "Then let me ask you this. How have you been taking care of my parents? If I asked you to care for my parents, would you do it?" I questioned. Jackson stared at me blankly. "What are you saying? Why should a husband take care of his wife's parents?" "So does that mean you won't take care of my parents now or ever?" I pressed. "The husband's parents and the wife's parents are completely different," Jackson replied. "What difference does that make anyway? I don't get it," I said, feeling frustrated. "I didn't realize you were so clueless. It's like talking to my old boss," I continued. "What are you saying?" Jackson asked, confused. "I'm saying the husband's parents should come first, and you should take care of your wife's parents," I clarified. "What?" I exclaimed. "So you only prioritize your own blood-related family? I'm so disappointed in you. I won't be visiting your parents anymore." "Ha! Why would you do that?" "Enough is enough. I'm the one who wants you to stop this nonsense," I retorted. "No way. How dare you talk back like that? My mom is right," Jackson shot back. "Ha! Your mom was talking about you. She said you're a badly behaved wife, and that's why she gave me this." With that, Jackson pulled out a piece of paper from his bag. It was divorce papers. "What? You already had divorce papers ready?" I was shocked, but Jackson seemed strangely proud. "See? I scared you, didn't I? I'm prepared for this any time. So think about what you just said," Jackson declared smugly before leaving for his room. Unbelievable. Why is Jackson so selfish? That look of triumph on his face. It's clear the divorce papers are a threat to make me obey him. The fact that Helen was involved made me even more suspicious. Jackson is acting like a puppet for his mom, trying to control me while following her orders. It's ridiculous. I won't let Jackson have his way. How can he not see our marriage is in trouble when he acts like this? His lack of understanding just annoys me more. Jackson had already completed the divorce papers and handed them to me with witnesses, including Helen and his friends. This meant I could sign and file them whenever I chose. The next day, after Jackson went to work, I filled out the divorce papers and submitted them to the city office. As a precaution, I also filed a notice of non-acceptance of the marriage certificate. I called my parents and explained the situation, knowing Jackson might threaten to file a marriage certificate on his own if he found out. My parents were shocked that I had already prepared the divorce papers but fully supported my decision. Outraged by Jackson's behavior, they offered to help me move my belongings immediately. Taking a leave from work, I had my parents come over and relocate all my things to their house while Jackson was away. I decided to stay with my parents for a while. It was the first time in a long time that I felt truly comfortable and at ease in their home. Reflecting back, Jackson never did his share of housework. I was the one cooking dinner after long work days and handling all the cleaning and laundering on my days off. On top of that, he expected me to care for his parents, which was impossible. That night, Jackson called me, probably just back from work. "Hello. Hey, where are you right now?" he asked. "I'm at my parents' house." "Oh, why would you go back there without my permission? And where's all your stuff?" "Don't tell me you're staying the night." I almost laughed. How could he think I was staying when I had taken most of my belongings with me? It showed his selfishness to even suggest that I move out of the house. "I'm not coming back," I said firmly. "What are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food," Jackson demanded. "Make it yourself," I replied, ending the call. I couldn't discuss divorce with him if he continued to behave this way. I decided to wait for him to come to my parents' house and blocked his number. A week later, Jackson showed up at my parents' house, accompanied by his parents. They all wore serious expressions. I led them into the living room, and we faced each other, 3 against 3. "How could you do this? How could you leave without my permission?" Jackson demanded. "Well, you were treating me like a housekeeper," I countered. "All I asked you to do was take care of your family," Jackson shot back. "That's not true. What kind of wife are you if you don't take care of Jackson?" Helen interjected, shooting me a fierce glare. My father began to tremble with anger, but I interjected. "Jackson told me to quit my job and care for Helen, saying it was my duty as his wife. Yet when it comes to my family, he expects me to handle everything alone. Ultimately, Jackson wants obedience and uses me to care for his parents while taking credit for it. That's why he prioritizes his parents over mine." Helen continued to glare, but Carter looked confused, indicating he hadn't heard this before. "Let me clear the air," Jackson said suddenly, bringing up the divorce papers and claiming it was Helen's idea. "Why would you suggest that?" Carter asked, clearly surprised. "Oh no, it's because Camila has an attitude problem," Helen stammered. "And did you really say that Camila's parents aren't a priority?" I pressed. "Well, it's only natural that your own parents come first," Helen retorted defensively. "Don't be absurd. I came here to support you after hearing about the unfair treatment Camila endured, but now it seems you're the one at fault. Don't hide behind her parents' authority to get your way. Carter said, making Jackson visibly shrink in his seat. Carter then apologized to me and my parents. I'm truly sorry for the trouble caused by my foolish son. I will have a serious talk with him. Carter, you're not to blame at all, so please don't apologize, I replied. Thank you for your kind words, but there's something else. Turning to Jack, who was now nervous, I said, the divorce papers you gave me, I've already filed them. We're no longer married. Jackson and Helen both turned pale. Why did you file them without my permission? Jackson demanded, shocked. You told me I could file them whenever I wanted. Besides, you had already filled out your part and had Helen sign as a witness. I calmly explained. Oh, that was. Jackson stammered, clearly at a loss for words. Carter, furious, intervened. Jackson, you used divorce as a threat. He slapped Jackson across the face. Helen was visibly shaken by the confrontation. I apologize deeply that you had to witness this. You're right to divorce this fool. On behalf of Jackson, I'm truly sorry for ruining your marriage, Carter said, grasping Jackson by the collar and demanding apologies from both Jackson and Helen before escorting them out of the house. Later, I thanked Carter for his intervention. He ensured that all of Jackson's assets and property were transferred to me without any hassle. Despite my higher income and managing our household, it was a relief to secure everything from our marriage. I later learned that Carter had divorced Helen, clearly disgusted with her actions. I recently ran into a coworker from Jackson's previous job, and she revealed some startling information. Jackson wasn't doing his job effectively, and his manager was frequently giving him hard criticism. Jackson resigned and took a new job in disobedience. My irritation with him just grew as a result of this. He placed the blame for his failures on others, rather than accepting responsibility, which probably explained why he was paid less at his new position. I'm glad I got away from him. I appreciate being independent and have rented a nice apartment. My work is going well, and I recently got paid more. I would rather concentrate on my profession at this time and am not interested in relationships. Jackson has always been more concerned with appearances than aptitude. At home, he kept up a front, but he never developed professionally. Unfortunately, a lot of spouses think they are powerful when they threaten to file for divorce, but this is a big error. I hope they come to their senses and discover contentment on their own. In the interim, I'm happy that Jackson is behind me and am forward to meet someone amazing in the future.